Another big game coming up on Friday night, and the injury list growing. Although one of our questions today has been answered by the man on your right hand, so the fact he's here.
Good. Well, John Cotter, Billy Woods, Phil Harrington, they're all in training this week, Billy. But no, look.
It's to be alright.
Yeah, look, it's been funny, because it's not been funny, but it's been I suppose disappointing, because we've had a few lads who picked up serious injuries, really, and the bad news is that Michael Rafter's a long way away, unfortunately, so he certainly won't be involved in the next over the next 2 months, so which is unfortunate. Danny is doing light training this week, and we're hoping that within 2 weeks that maybe we might have him back training properly, but it's still 50-50. Anthony has trained this week, so the indications are that he will be available Friday. Gary obviously, as I told you on Friday night, despite the fact he was stretchered off, he still wanted to come back on and play.
He doesn't remember it.
We were advised not to, so, but look, it's good. He's been in this week, and he's been taking it easy, but he will be available. Colin, I would say it probably won't be, and Darren Denny, I'd say it's 50-50. So it's been it's a bit of a mixed bag, but look at the way I look at it is that last Friday night after 5 minutes of the match we were down 6 players. Going into this weekend's match, we should have 2 of the 6 back, and possibly Darren is in the balance.
When we're on the injury thing, did I detect a kind of frustration in your voice after the game on Friday night? You passed a very telling comment. Colin wants to play when we asked him about anything. So he must be surely near fitness now. 6 weeks, coming up to 6 weeks.
He is, and I suppose people react different ways with injuries. And I keep saying it's you've I suppose different personalities, different people who, some people may want to push themselves a bit more than others. Some people need to be 100% sure that in their minds that they're okay. And so it works both ways. It's a bit like Darren Denny, as I said, on Thursday he was ruled out by the medical people, and he still rang me Friday morning saying that he wanted to do the warm-up. So I was concerned, but I said, look, at his body, he knows best, but he needs to be careful. He needs to be absolutely 100% sure that he was going to make it. But when he did the warm-up, he just felt he couldn't go flat out. So, to be fair, at least common sense came into it. So, and he pulled out. So, Anthony's had a longer break than we thought he would have had. You know what I mean? And it was an acute injury, but certainly the indications are good that he should be back for this weekend. And at the same time, while Colin might want to play, what we have to look at is the situation. Is there a possibility that he'll do more damage? And if that is the case, you certainly don't want to have him play him and be missing him for 3 or 4 weeks. And that's what we have to look at. And the problem with the injuries we've had is that they've all been injuries of torn ligaments, strained ligaments, stuff like that, as opposed to a guy getting a knock and he has a lot of bruising or swelling, or a tight hamstring. We haven't had those really. It actually has been injuries of a bit more serious injuries.
I suppose on the injury front, when all the forwards come back, is it going to give you a kind of a good selection headache to Marco Sullivan's playing so at the moment?
Well, I'm quite happy for all the forwards are back. I deal with that headache when it comes, but I suppose it's not a headache because it hasn't been there. But it's a pleasant headache that I wish I have, or I wish I'm looking forward to it. But it's been it's disappointing because no matter what, as a manager, you want to have the best options available. You want to have everyone fit. You want to have everyone to choose from, and that's what I would prefer. Maybe some managers might be quite happy that they're missing one or two because it saves them having to make a harder decision. But I certainly, that's not the way I'd view it. But then again, on the other side, it just shows you how well the guys have done. You know what I mean, and how well they've performed, and how well the likes of Mark Sullivan has performed. But outside of Mark, I suppose like Gary, Billy, in particular, I suppose because they've been chipping in with goals, Liam, they've been chipping in with goals that we've needed. You know what I mean? So we've had a good spread of goals, which has obviously helped us, and it's just showing that I think when you look at us, despite the fact that, to be fair, on Friday night we were under the cosh a bit, and Sligo did pin us back and created a lot of chances. When we reviewed the video afterwards, we had 14 chances in the match. And arguably, bar the one that Null saved from North in the second half, and the one he picked off the line in the first half, we had Mark's 1-on-1. We had Lennon's shot that keeper made a fantastic save, and we had Mark's header that Endo headed off the line. And you could argue when Lenny went through in the first half, when he tried to square it, should have finished. So we equally had, you could say, 4 fantastic opportunities as well. So it just shows that we are creating a lot of chances. And I think, despite the fact that, probably in the end to get the draw was great for us to pull the draw out, considering the position we're in. But at the same time, we had created quite a lot of chances on Friday night as well.
Rob Lehan took his effort very early in. It was a brilliant save by Rodgers.
It was a really good save, and I suppose, to be fair, we were on that side, the Donny Ford side, and we must admit the minute he hit it, because we thought he hit it early, which, to be fair to any keeper, would have called a keeper. But Rodgers reacted fantastically, get one hand and to keep it around the post. But the minute he struck it, we thought it was it. But it was. It just showed. I think again, it was. Maybe afterwards people thought we didn't play as well, which we didn't. But in terms of a match, if you were sitting back as a neutral watching, I think it was a hell for leather game. They were going at us, we were going at them. We were under the cosh for quite a bit, maybe in the first half. Second half, probably when Rob came on for about 15 minutes, we were on top of them. You know what I mean? It was, certainly when they went ahead, I certainly didn't think there was only a minute to go, because I was so engrossed in the match, and it was both teams seemed to be going for the game. It was stretched. I thought there was about 10 minutes to go. I didn't realise it was that tight, because both teams were really going for it. It was so open. You know what I mean? And look at, as we said, to pull out the penalty at the end and get the draw. I think we might have rolled our luck a little bit, but look at, we take that. Another day maybe we might have had a penalty after 4 minutes. We might have had the sending off. It could have been a totally different type of game, but look at the moment, I suppose there's 6 games in. We've done very well. As we keep saying, the lads have really played well, and the crowd of supporters. And I suppose the plus side is that, if we keep working hard, hopefully get our injury situation cleared up, it might mean that we might be able to hang in there.
And the fact that your heads didn't drop after you conceded so late on Friday night, what does that speak to the team spirit in the squad at the moment?
Well, look at it's like everything else, Rory. You work hard in pre-season. New management. Some players have been there for a couple of years. A lot of new players, and you work hard at trying to get a bond and a work ethic in. And I keep saying, outside, in my opinion, we don't have big-headed individuals or people that think they're better than everyone else or think they're better than anyone else in their panel. We have what I call guys who want to do well. We have fantastic players. We have guys that know that some players are better than others. But it doesn't mean we don't have guys strolling or strutting around the place thinking, well, I'm the main man, he isn't. We don't have that. And when as a team you work together and everyone works hard together, then the opportunity is big. And I keep saying the opportunity for us is big, because if we work that hard, we will cause most teams problems. And so far to date, Dundalk, we haven't played all the other top sides. We've played them all, and we've acquitted ourselves very well. And if we can just, I suppose, keep focused and keep our heads on the ground, which I believe we will do, and keep working hard, I think then we can hang in there. And I know the question came up about bringing in players before. It's important that you have sometimes, and you see with other clubs, they may well bring in a lot of big names, but you have to be able to manage them. And in a lot of cases, if big names were if teams with the big names were to win the leagues every year, we wouldn't be here to compete. But it has shown that doesn't happen, because certain clubs, certain managers might be able to manage them. You see it across the world, the big names, they can't blend them in, they can't manage them. And it's crucial in any team squad that you have a bunch of guys who get on well together, they work hard together, and that if they do that, then you have opportunities. And that's what I feel at the moment that we're trying to build, and it's going to take a bit of time, but early indications are that things are good at the moment.
Tactically, John, you switched to 4-4-2 there in the second half. I think Robbie did well when he came on.
Yeah.
I mean, your hand has been tight because you've had three strikers injured, but would there be a temptation maybe to look at that this weekend? Or, I mean, like the three-man midfield has worked very well, obviously, the majority of games, maybe not as effective the last day of it.
Well, I suppose if you go to pre-season, we had been playing with two strikers all the time, and it had mainly been a combination of Elding and Rafter, because Danny was gone straight away. Mark didn't join us because of our agreement with Avondale until February. Okay, so if you look at the pre-season games when we were up in the likes of Galway and Kerry and these places, we had been playing. The situation was that a week before Pats, Rafter got injured and ruled himself out, and then we were in a situation where we felt that against Pats, if we played two in there, they'd have the extra man, and might cause us problems to impact. And that system is played as well. But I'm very open, and we've look at the more choices that are available, the more variation I will make. You know what I mean? At the same time, I don't like to chop and change teams much, because I'm not that type of guy. But at the same time, I am aware there's a difference, and you're playing maybe St. Pat's away, they're playing at Lone at home. You know what I mean? And you have to look at those situations. But I've always played with two strikers, But the problem at the moment is that Rob Lehan is only coming in. He's come out of 19s. He played a bit with UCC in the Munster Senior League and has done well. But the step up is massive, and he's still only a young lad. And being honest, at the moment, I feel his impact coming on is good, and he gives an impact for a half an hour, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever, when he comes on. And I just think it suits him, the type of player he is, to come into the game and give that impact. So is he in contention to start for the weekend? Yes, he is. But at the same time, the other side to that is that he's the only striker we've had on the bench. And like last week, when things weren't going right and we wanted to change it to bring him in, he made the impact, which I at the time, saw. But I'm hoping strikers will come back so that we can mix it up a bit more.
Drogheda Friday night, they were beaten by Bray at home, leaving City as the only unbeaten team in the league.
Yeah.
They'll obviously be Robbie Horan will want them to bounce back to them, won't he?
Yeah, and I suppose, to be fair, Drogheda are the real underdog team in this league. Their record in the last couple of years has been phenomenal. Forget the old days when maybe 7-8 years ago when Paul Doolan had him, and he had a full time, basically all Dublin guys that moved from Shelburne to Drogheda and whatever. If you just solely look at them in the last 2-3 years, they've been in Stanley Cup finals, they've been in League Cup finals. They won the League Cup final. They got beaten in 2 Stantas. They came second in the league, and no one ever gives them credit. And if you look at them, Fabio O'Brien, probably the top striker in the league. If you look, it's incredible. Doesn't get the credit the guy deserves, because he seemed to be with an unfashionable team, and still every year he gets a pile of goals. We know in 2005 Cup final he scored up in Lansdowne Road, and he stayed with them, and every year gets goals upon goals. They have Gary O'Neill, who's after coming back from his own health issues, which is fantastic. Again, a fantastic player. And throughout their team, they just seem to have a real hard-working, no stars, but they, when you look from the outside in, you say, God, they're a real team. They work hard, and I just think that they came second last year, got beaten in 2 finals, and if arguably in the cup final against Sligo, they were 1-0 up, had a header at the back post to put them 2-0 up, and the referee gave a free out. You know what I mean? So desperately unlucky in the final last year, but they've been a really underrated team. And the problem, I suppose, is as we say ourselves, is that even looking from as a supporter's point of view, when Rovers come to town, everyone wants to be there. When we say Pats come, oh yeah, they're the team to beat, whatever. Whereas Drogheda have been probably the most consistent team for the last 3 years, because they've been in most of the finals, they've been second in the league, they've been tipping up there, and they've been thereabouts. So and they've had a bit of turmoil with Mick Cook going and Robbie Horgan, his assistant, stepping up, but Robbie seems to have held them together. And again, very difficult game. They're probably more defensive team in the sense that they probably try to play on the counter attack, which is very dangerous from our point of view. But still, at the same time, we're at home. It's Good Friday. We're expecting a big crowd because a lot of people are off, a lot of places are closed, and we're hoping the crowd will come out in force. But it's going to be a very difficult game. But again, the only thing about it is that when we play well and play the form, we've shown against the teams that we've played already this season that we're a handful as well.
John, I suppose it's good to be in the middle of a four-game run of home matches. Like, it probably makes it easier, just even from a planning point of view. And then the flip side, I suppose, is that you want to make sure that you don't drop too many points.
Yeah.
Is it a case now, looking at it, like that you drop the two against Sligo, so Drogheda and both are must-win games?
I think it's a type of league, to be honest with you, Dennis, that a lot of teams are going to drop points. And the reason I say that is that, you look at Shamrock Rovers, they have a huge panel, they can beat anyone on their day, but still they've dropped a lot of points. Pats have dropped a fair few points, they have a huge panel, and they're still around there. Sligo, who are a serious team, as we all know, and have fantastic players, have dropped a lot of points. And I suppose Dundalk are probably one team that probably haven't, and they are going to be there. And it's a question of, will teams take points off them? I think they probably will, I suppose, to be fair. Dundalk are probably lucky that with their pitch, it certainly is a huge advantage compared to all the other teams. But I think there will be points being dropped. Did we drop 2 points to Sligo? Probably, being honest and looking back in the game, we probably didn't drop 2 points in that particular game. To be fair, as it turned out. But at the same time, we're going out to win every match. Do we feel we have to win this week and the following week? You just want to win every game. And what we're trying to do is see, can we just hang in there, stay in there, because there will come a point in the league after probably 10, 12, 13 matches when a split will happen. You can see at the moment everyone's tight together, but you can see over the next 5, 6 matches a split will happen. And if you can hang in there and go with the split, momentum wise, you might be able to stay in there. What you want to do is, you certainly don't want to get distant from it, because playing catch up is going to be very, very difficult.
And in that regard, is having the game in hand against Limerick a good or a bad thing?
I'm undecided at the moment. I'll tell you on the 20th of May whether we get the points. I suppose it was like, it's one of those ones. It just shows you when you look at it, you can plan and prepare as much as you want. You can train whatever. When it boils down to, you have to mentally have the players in the right shape and the right mindset when it comes to it. Now, obviously, you could come across a team that's better than you, and that's fine. You can shake your hands and good. But it just shows you how much the mind is there, because, we were geared up to play Limerick. Came out after Rovers, geared up to play Limerick. Saturday night, we find the game is off. Logically, you'd say, God, that's great, because it gives us a week to Sligo. Sligo end up, after losing the Friday night, playing Drogheda at home, dropping 2 points to Drogheda, supposedly, or a draw, then having to travel to Cork to play us, and they give probably the best performance of the season. You know what I mean? After no break, after a couple of very few days rest. So it just shows you that sometimes it's when you think a team are down that they bounce back, or they and you look at Sligo, and then they go last night and they hammer Pats 5-1. So they're away to us, away to Pats, travelling alone, and the time and the effort it takes. You know what I mean? So when the Limerick match comes around, look at as I keep saying, Limerick are a big club. Every game is difficult and every game is hard, but still the only thing what might happen by the time limit comes around, hopefully, that at least by that stage, hopefully if we don't pick up any more injuries, we'll have a bigger panel, and that's what we need.
Sorry, how's the head?
It's not better, thank God.
You obviously don't remember much of what happened, I'd say, on Friday night.
No, I remember the first minute or two, alright, I can't remember the ball coming in or clashing with the keeper, or I can't remember just coming in from the dressing room. That's all I can remember really.
And what is in the hospital? Were you concussed or?
They didn't say. They just said go straight for a CT scan. The CT scan was clear, so all was well and good.
You're obviously clear to play in Friday, and you feel 100%.
I do. I haven't trained yet, but I plan to take part tomorrow, so hopefully I'll be okay for section Friday.
Must have been frustrating because you're playing quite well with the team up until that point, and to be taken out of it in the first few minutes of a big game.
Yeah, I was obviously, but obviously the big mistake was that it was first 2 minutes. But these things happen. We have to deal with it, and the day that the team did do it, we got a point in the end.
Have you seen the incident again since?
I have. I saw it last night in Soccer Republic. It didn't look good, to be great, but to be fair to Gary Rogers, he actually texted me the day after saying that he didn't intentionally do it and he didn't mean to hurt me, so fair play.
Had you picked many injuries up over your career?
No, not really. Not long-term injuries. I haven't, touch wood, I haven't been out longer than 3 weeks, I'd say. So
I suppose looking at it now, I mean, the fact you'll be training in the morning, you'll be in the mix to start again on Friday, that's a good boost, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, it is.
People watching you going off there thinking, like, you might.
Yeah, they're probably thinking the worst, but
yeah.
No, I'm grand, honestly. So I hope to be able to for selection Friday.
And the start of the season so far has been kind of, whatever underestimated Cork did has probably been kind of beyond what you would have been expecting, at the outset, with a new management team,
yeah, maybe
really hit the ground.
Players or other teams didn't expect us to be where we are, and they obviously didn't come to terms across thinking that we were going to be as good as we are. But John has really instilled the work rate and desire into our game that we haven't been there for the last couple of years, and that alone is probably to get results so far this year, along with the ball we can play. So hopefully along with that continue.
And is there a big kind of sense of pride? I mean, like if you read the Friday tabloids every Friday, there's some player from around the country picking Turner's Cross as his favourite ground to go play against, and we're one of the toughest, but atmosphere-wise, but there's a really kind of sense of Cork pride come back into it again, is there, with John and John Potter and
yeah, obviously, whoever's in that around the country is obviously true, because it is the best ground in the league. We have the best support, and obviously John coming back in, he's the club hero, and along with the club or the crowd come. Obviously, if we play well and results keep coming.
And did it make a difference there with the Rovers game in particular, like the atmosphere, despite the fact the weather was absolutely appalling, and it was not taken so before, but I mean there was best crowd.
Obviously, the weather doesn't help the crowd, but personally, I think I like a bit of rain on the pitch. It gives the game a better flow than it is for a dry pitch. But I don't know if the crowd like the rain. Obviously, they don't, but they still came out in their drove, so I'm delighted with that.
How are you finding at the top of the diamond, having played a lot of your football at centre back and centre mid?
It's a lot different.
We don't know what you're doing up there, but
don't know myself either. It's a lot different, obviously, to last year, but to be fair, Conley and Garrod have given me a licence to get forward, and I don't have to get back, but not all the time I support Marky, and obviously pitching with a few goals, and then, like I have done, hopefully it may continue if that's the formation.
And did you say to John that you didn't want to play centre back anymore, or was there kind of a mutual understanding that midfield was your strongest position?
No, I didn't say what my position was. He didn't say it. It was just I could play both positions, and wherever he puts me, that's where it is.
But like you were midfield coming up one grade, weren't you?
Yeah, I was, but I also played centre half, so I kind of mix and match both positions, but I prefer midfield.
And does playing centre back kind of help you when you go back into midfield then? Like, do you kind of have a greater appreciation?
No, it's kind of vice versa, I think, when you go from midfield into centre half, because the game's in front of you, you can play everything, whereas midfield it's everywhere. So probably going from centre half and midfield is probably less of an advantage, but I think I dealt with it well enough.
So did you find in pre-season that you had to kind of readjust to playing midfield?
Yeah, definitely, obviously, but I thought pre-season is kind of different, it's kind of getting your fitness rather than getting your mass touch and that, so I thought I dealt with it well.
Any personal target goals for the season?
No, I don't really like doing that, but
it's fine.
personal target, I just want to cement my place in the team. That's all really, statistically wise. I don't really mind. Obviously, if I want to pitch in with goals, whoever scores the goals once we win the game, that's all that matters. I just want to cement my place in the team.
And the under-18 success, I suppose, over the last few years, I mean, that's I suppose suppose, a source of pride for the club anyway, that they're producing good players, you know, on their own terms, and guys who are Cork men by and large, or Munster men, certainly. I mean, like, did that give you a bit of confidence, or, you know?
Yeah, true. Even before my years, you'd always see of 4 or 5 players of coming through to the first team, coming training, but along with that, you have to do well for the first team to on your first official contract. And you've seen over this year again, John Kavanagh and Brian Lennon have done that, and same before my time, so long may that continue for the club.
And I suppose it adds a bit of, again, that sense of pride and identity when you've played with the club coming through, doesn't it? Like,
yeah, it does, especially being from Cork as well. It's the same thing, like, because when you're growing up, everybody supports Cork City. It's the one club in the area. Obviously Cove, but it's a bit away, but growing up, everybody supports Cork City and they want to play with that one club because you're from Cork. So obviously it's a lot of pride.
Sounds good.